you?
My mama said, Lord, I picked the wrong girl up from the hospital.
That is crazy.
I did. I loved me some heavy metal music. I loved country music, and I loved um, uh, hip hop. Wasn't Hip hop hadn't started yet. To give you an idea how old I am, hip hop hadn't started yet. But I also grew up with parents who loved music from the '60s and the '70s. So we always had cookouts in the summertime. So I grew up listening to the soul music as well. And but I loved a little bit of everything. And one of my favorite bands, y'all probably never heard. In addition to heavy metal, I loved pop culture bands. I loved, of course, Duran Duran. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Duran Duran. I used to love Sting. I don't know if you've ever heard of that singer, Sting. Billy Joel. And of course, Madonna. I can remember when Madonna first came out. Madonna, Cyndi Lauper. I'm telling on myself. I came up in a time period where I just, Janet Jackson was big at the time, so I loved Janet Jackson. Of course, there was no Mary J. Blige at the time, but it was TLC, it was Pebbles, and then eventually rap came out. Rap hadn't caught on yet, but it was beginning. Rap didn't become what it is until about the 90s, and by that time, I was a college graduate. I graduated from Coastal Carolina University in 1992, and I got my first teaching job. And so I started to learn to gravitate a little bit more towards hip hop, because at that time you started to hear from P. Diddy and that crowd, yeah. Believe it or not, P. Diddy.
So, we love your music taste, but did you have any celebrities or idols you looked up to?
Well, as far as now, I had crushes on everybody.
Oh, wow.
I had a crush on the lead singer of Duran Duran, which was Simon Le Bon. I think it was Le Bon. And then I loved the band U2. I had a crush on Bono.
Wow.
I had a crush on Lionel Richie. I don't know if y'all know who Lionel Richie is, but he used to be with this band called the Commodores, and then later he broke off and became his own solo star. And I love the Beatles, but I wasn't around when the Beatles were. I caught the tail end of the Beatle revolution, so I would always listen to their songs and that sort of thing. So as far as idols that I looked up to, I had celebrities that I loved, and I loved their music, but as far as idols and things like that, I started looking more towards people who were more of an academic nature. Like I started looking up to people like that. I also had authors that I would follow and keep up with what they had going on, because I, at one point in life, wanted to be a writer.
Oh,
I can
what's
see you
stopping
doing
you?
I realized, well, I will say this much. That's why it's so important to have that representation. I didn't really know any authors. I knew I had some that I loved, but I came from a little small rural community in Orange County, and where I came from, many people didn't even have a high school diploma. So when you look around in your surroundings, that's why it's so important for you to either be strong-willed and strong-minded, because if you don't see those examples, sometimes it can become very easy for you to say, man, I can't do that, or oh, that's not realistic. But I did. I wanted to be a writer. All my friends know that about me. Like, one of these days, who knows, I might still find some time to write.
Yeah, you and Miss Robinette could do a little duo.
She'd have to edit it for me, though.
Yeah. So, in high school, what were your teachers like? Or even in college, what were your professors like? Did you have any memorable moments?
Oh gosh, I had lots of teachers that I liked. I can honestly say, because I loved school so much, I was blessed and I was fortunate. I had some really great teachers. When I think back to my experiences in school, whether it was middle school or high school, I did not have a teacher that I didn't think that I learned something from. I can remember all of my teachers, my 6th grade, my 7th and 8th and high school teachers. And as an adult, I kept relationships with many of them just because I wanted them to know how much I valued what they did for me. I love the fact that they saw something in me. I was this little, not shy, but I talked a lot as it related to things in the classroom. But outside of class, I could come across a little shy. But I had teachers that saw something in me and saw beyond the poverty. I wasn't poor, but I wasn't rich either in comparison to a lot of the kids around me. And I had teachers who didn't see that. They saw this young girl who was a good student, and they encouraged me and they pushed me and they made sure I knew about this or this test, or they made sure that I got what I needed in my honors classes so that I could be the first, or I could break the cycle in my community.
Wonderful. I love that. Love that a lot.
And the same thing with my professors. I had this one professor that I met and I fell in love with her. Her name was Professor Veronica Gerald. She was my first black professor that I ever had. I was at Coastal, and she taught English literature. I had her for this course that I took. It was called Black Literature. It was the first time I was 18, almost 19 years old before I ever had anybody introduce me to black authors.
Wow.
And I devoured that class. She ended up becoming a sorority sister of mine, and we've since kept in touch, and she's followed my career, and whenever there's something in a newspaper or online, she clips it and she sends it to me to let me know that she's thinking of me and she's proud of me. But she introduced me to black authors I didn't even know exist, from Alice Walker to Nikki Giovanni to Claude McKay. I'd heard of some of the usuals like Langston Hughes, but when I was in high school, I never read anything by Langston Hughes. And then my all-time favorite writer, Zora Neale Hurston, first time I ever heard of her was through this professor, Professor Veronica Davis. And I thought, nobody should be this old before they see themselves in a classroom or in literature.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, a little off topic, but I had to visit someone, like a family friend at a hospital, and I happened to talk to the security guard over there, and his wife was actually Dr. Martin, I believe, and she was the first black woman to ever be admitted into CCU.
Oh, wow.
And so that kind of just reminded me of what you just said. But yeah, empowerment when it comes to race and whatnot, I mean, that's just a huge step to just expanding your mind and everything. So.
Exactly. And it's interesting you said that, because when I went to Coastal, and there probably, I don't even know if there were 50 black students on campus. And we all knew each other because it was just a small group of us.
Yeah.
And we kind of supported each other through that journey. And to see where it is now when you go over there, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all these amazing kids. And of all kinds of groups that are over there now. Because back then it was primarily black. Well, the dominant ethnic groups was white and black. And at the time, they were beginning to bring in a few Hispanic students. They were recruiting them to be in the sports program. Because at that particular time, soccer was a really big sport at well, we called it Coastal, but CCU now. And so just, it's important that people see themselves in places so that they know they can achieve that, or even that they deserve to be there. Because a lot of times when you're the only one, you can listen to those voices in your head and start questioning yourself, or saying, am I supposed to be here, or I don't fit here, or I don't belong here. So diversity matters, and seeing yourself places matters.
Absolutely. So one of our final questions on the topics of personal college and high school experience: did you attend homecoming or prom?
Well, I was kind of, now that I think about it, I think I was kind of considered a nerd. I did go to prom. Yeah, I was considered a nerd. I did go to prom, but I didn't have a prom date. I went my junior and senior year, and I didn't have a prom date.
Who needs them anyway?
But I went with a group of friends, and the amazing thing is the friend group that I went with, we are still friends 40 plus odd years
Wow.
later.
And I was
Yeah.
just about to ask, like, are you still friends with anyone from high school or anything?
Yes, there was a core group of us. We all grew up together.
Yeah.
All our mothers had babies at the exact same time,
Aw.
or the same year, I should say.
Mhm.
And I have 4 female friends that have been my dearest friends my entire life.
Your sisters.
And we're literally sister friends. And then inside the friend group are also 4 guys. So there was 8 of us, and we were the 8 amigos. Now the guys have since all gone on and married people,
Yeah.
and fortunately for us, they married women that we like. So the girls they brought into our circle are really nice girls, and so their children are, are our nieces and our nephews. But when they come to town, I don't care what I got going on, I stop, because very few people have had the pleasure of having that kind of friendship.
Yeah,
I've met lots of people that say to me how they sort of envy that, and they would love to be able to say that they have that kind of friendship. So I value those people.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
I strive to have that friendship too.
Mhm.
Like, as Dr. Floyd, my advisor, usually says, you need to lead your friendship circle and whatnot, because your friends are practically a reflection of who you are, and I'm assuming they're great based on your personality. and
They
everything.
are amazing people, and I realize how similar we all are, and we get along so well. But what I love most about them is that we support and encourage each other. And now we're at this age in life where life is beginning to happen to us. Like, we just experienced our first death. One of my dearest friends, Mike, he'd been married for 32 years, and he just lost his wife. So that was kind of hard, because then that kind of started to remind me of our mortality. Like, oh my gosh, you can die at any age, but you kind of associate death with an older age. And to think, my God, she was only